Our last destination in this country. This is as much Asia as Singapore.
I feel like we weren't expecting to see fancy skyscrapers in Siberia.
One of the few things in Yekaterinburg that is in English. And did you say if you spell wish? Got
Asia.
One boob in Europe, one boob in Asia. Good morning from Yekaterinburg, sitting on the border between Europe and Russian Siberia is our last destination in this country. We have 2 days left. We have booked our flight. This is Russia's 4th largest city and the birthplace of a very controversial Russian president, Boris Yeltsin, and the death place of Russia's last Tsar. We've actually been staying in this monstrosity, the Marines Park Old Soviet Hotel. £40 a night to stay in a blooming bunk bed.
We are staying in a very Soviet part of town, opposite the train station, and this morning, as if sleeping in bunk beds wasn't bad enough, we got woken up at 9 o'clock to the blaring sound of like Soviet war music going on in the square, and by the looks of it, they're having some sort of parade.
The city lies just east of the Ural Mountains, meaning this is as much Asia as Singapore, as Beijing, as Tokyo, and as Manila. And if I'm honest, it's exactly what I expected from a big Siberian city. Very grey, very Soviet, very brutalist. And I'm not actually sure we can go up to this right now because there is a very big parade going on right now, and there is a very big soldier with a very big gun staring at me. So this lovely building behind me is the Yekaterinburg train station. This is where you're going to arrive on your journey across Russia, whether you're coming from Moscow or heading further east on the Trans-Siberian Express. But Yekaterinburg doesn't give you the greatest of first impressions, because as you come out of the train station, you are greeted by this. Some sort of rotting, abandoned skyscraper.
Today's video is brought to you by CyberGhost VPN. A few things are needed whilst traveling Russia, and one of them is definitely a VPN. Now, a VPN is essential for protecting your digital privacy. And with over 38 million users worldwide, CyberGhost VPN is the most recommended VPN provider on the market. It's super simple to use. Just turn on CyberGhost VPN before you browse. It will then encrypt and reroute 100% of your traffic through their secure servers. And CyberGhost has servers in over 100 countries, so that you can always be protected, which is absolutely perfect for travelers like us. Just by changing your location with CyberGhost, you can also unlock libraries of over 40 streaming platforms such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, and many, many more. Simply amazing. The app is available for all operating systems and can protect up to 7 devices at the same time. That's a lot of devices, so you can actually share your subscription with your family. Now is the perfect time to get CyberGhost VPN. By using the link in the description, you can benefit from an 83% discount and get 4 months for free. There's also a 45-day money-back guarantee, so it's super risk-free for you.
This certainly doesn't look like the Asia that we all know, does it? But one thing you'll notice, outside of Moscow and St. Petersburg, the cities seem to have 2 sides. Around the train station seems to be the old Soviet area that is very run down, and then as you head into the more historical part, it's a lot more built up. But again, you'll see it's everywhere, signs for the Victory Day parade.
There's sort of this like unofficial border where you can see the old Soviet part of the cities that haven't had any work done on them, which is actually the reality for so many. And then on the other side you have the side of the city that they actually want to put money into. So behind me you can see the Church of the Blood of All Saints, which is actually the location where the last Tsar was killed.
So this is probably the most famous site in Yekaterinburg. Before becoming a church, it was actually a house where the last Tsar of Russia resided, and he, his wife and his 5 children were actually killed under the orders of Lenin, and they were buried far out of the city, and this church was then built in the year 2000 to remember them.
There's actually a monument outside the church dedicated to the Romanov family. They also have put a spiral staircase to reflect their family's last moments, which was on the stairs inside the house. You'll actually see that there's these like red lines and blue ones throughout the city, and originally I thought it was like pedestrians and bikes to go down, but actually if you follow these they give you around a 3-hour route of all of the best tourist sites to see in the city of Yekaterinburg. I don't fancy a 3-hour walk though.
You know, the plan before coming to Russia was to make it as far east as possible, to Irkutsk or to Vladivostok, but we have realized just how blooming big this country is. So I'm pleased we have at least made it far enough east to say we have made it to Asia. Really cool to have made it this far, to be able to say that we have made it to Asia, to Siberia, but I am so ready to leave. You know, we were going to go back across the land border between Russia and Estonia, but I just don't want to take the risk. We've heard so many horror stories and I'm still nervous about our flight out tomorrow night. How is it going to be going through immigration? How many questions are we going to get asked? I don't know. I'm just thinking ahead, but before that we are about to see what was the tallest building in all of North Asia, Central North Asia. This tower, which I think we can actually go to the very top of, and I think there might even be a restaurant.
I feel like we weren't expecting to see fancy skyscrapers in Siberia, but here we are, the Vysotsky building, named after a famous Russian poet, but it's also like a play on words because I think Vysotsky or something means tall, hence a very tall building. 188 something meters high to be precise.
So it turns out there's a few options in this building to go up to the viewpoint. There is a vertical restaurant on the 51st floor. There is a panoramic viewpoint even higher, but on the 37th, I think they have a rooftop bar.
I'm just so confused. So that downstairs they told us to go in one lift. We got in that lift and it only went to 51 and 52. And then some lady has just walked us into
another lift.
Alley to another lift. So hopefully we can get to the floor that we're looking for. We're lost. This building is an absolute maze. I'm done with it already, but this seems to be a hotel with a fountain. And then I believe this, I mean it doesn't look like it, but this is supposed to be what we're looking for. Okay, I'm still not used to that. When you come to anywhere in Russia, you pretty much have to give your coat when you go to a restaurant, because here, it's a beautiful view.
Look at this view. You can see the whole of Yekaterinburg.
I think it's absolutely pouring
From up
rain.
here.
Oh, lovely.
Спасибо.
You're welcome. From up here, this looks exactly like what I was expecting of a Siberian city. The residential blocks, grey buildings, the rain, but then it does just have like one little modern area across the river, which looks really nice. And this is actually a good idea. You can come in here, you can have a beer or get something to eat for the same price as going up to the observation deck, and you get
The same view.
Exactly.
I like this to order. Did it work?
I don't know. I think she's on the phone.
400 mil.
Okay, perfect.
Can we have 2?
2. Okay,
Var.
please.
Are you still doing, is it possible to still get the breakfast?
I'm sorry, but no.
Ah.
Only main menu.
Okay. In that case, do you want the same? We will have 2 of
Okay.
these, please.
How have we ended up drinking a German beer in what I'm going to call Siberia's highest bar, and a welcome to have a menu in English and a menu that is not full of Russian food? After a month, I am bored of the pelmeni potato pancake, so we have avocado and eggs on toast in Nostravia.
Nostravia. I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer in this video because it is our last day and we have really enjoyed the last 4 weeks in the country, but things are just starting to wear thin. Our patience is running thin, and I think as British tourists we're pretty lucky. In most places you go to you can be understood, you can find things.
It's so difficult here.
It is very difficult out here. Our Russian hasn't got any better. I really thought it would have, but it hasn't. The maps don't work, so you can't find things. The signal is blocked with Google Maps because of the fear of drone strikes. And yeah, you just can't find things when you're walking the streets. You get lost all the time.
It was our choice to come.
Our choice.
But I think a month was too long.
A month was too long. I feel like probably at the 2-3 week mark it would have been fine, but
The German beer in Siberia.
an avocado on toast. Strange.
This has also got to be Russia's most expensive beer. Almost $6. And the view is definitely worth it. That's Asia. This is definitely one of the poshest restaurants you're going to find in Siberia. Avocados on toast. Hipsters have even made it to Yekaterinburg. I enjoyed that. It wasn't even too expensive for food for us both. 2 beers, it was about $20 US, but we really haven't had the best weather for the last week or so in Russia. You can see why so many Russians are escaping the country to the likes of Phuket, Vietnam, and pretty much all of Southeast Asia has become a mini Moscow. And for us, I think the problem has been that we've been very much based in the cities. We wanted to get out to rural Russia, you know, the villages, see some of the sights. For example, in Yekaterinburg, you'd go and see the Ural Mountains, but they're like 100 kilometers away. And I don't know if that is a current situation problem or it has always been a problem in Yekaterinburg, that obviously not many people speak English. If there is any tours going, they're in Russian or on Russian websites, and on our phone they're pretty much blocked, so you can't find any of them. So you feel very trapped at the moment in Russia and confined to the cities. You look at this, it is such a contrasting city of old meets new. These beautiful new builds on the river, and then you've got the old brutalist Soviet buildings. Actually in 2012 UNESCO made a list of the 12 most ideal cities in the world, and only one Russian city made the list. Not Moscow, not St. Petersburg, but here, Yekaterinburg. Now this is actually stunning. It doesn't look like Asia though.
No, it really doesn't. Even if the sun was shining, I still don't think that I could grasp that we are actually in Asia right now. But along the Iset River, I believe it is the largest...
We're following that again.
Yeah, we're following this red line. Is the largest keyboard monument in the world. I mean, I'm sure it's probably the only one, but it's called the QWERTY Monument, and it's just a load of keys in the grass.
We really are clutching at straws, aren't we, when this right here is one of the sights for us to see in Yekaterinburg, but it's in English. One of the few things in Yekaterinburg that is in English. And did you say if you spell wish?
Yeah, so apparently you're supposed to step on WISH, press enter, make a wish, and it comes true. So here goes, stuff W.
What is she doing?
S. No, I can't remember the alphabet. Hey.
She can't spell.
And the strange monuments of Yekaterinburg actually continues down the river because we have a Beatles monument. Now this is actually quite poignant because during the USSR, during the Soviet Union, Western pop music, rock music, any type of Western influence was not actually allowed. They weren't allowed to have the albums, they weren't allowed to be fans of these groups. So a lot of it happened underground, behind closed doors, and this was actually a monument that a lot of the people during the Soviet Union, the young people, they wanted because it was really important for them to have these entertainment purposes. So you just have a very expensive little metal artwork of the Beatles in Yekaterinburg.
I like it. They've got a bench, they've got the yellow submarine, and then they've got the mural of the four of them there. This actually cost 2.5 million rubles, and they had no help from the city of Yekaterinburg to build this. They used to make their own albums underground. And now in Siberia, Asia, Russia, 2025, sits probably the world's strangest Beatles memorial.
They actually say that Western pop music, like the Beatles, was a reason why so many of the young people changed their allegiance away from the Soviet Union.
As you walk along the river, you're going to come to Plotinka, which is the lake that is formed by the river dam, and you notice just how modern this city is becoming with all of the new builds, the skyscrapers that are popping up. This here is now the tallest building in all of Yekaterinburg, so I presume this building behind me right there is the tallest in all of North Asia, but it's just not what you expect. But possibly the most unique or the strangest building in all of Yekaterinburg is this behind me, the Yeltsin Center. Boris Yeltsin, the Russian president from 1991 to 1999, and he was actually from the Urals, from Yekaterinburg. This was opened in 2015, but it's pretty controversial because he is deemed to be the president that pretty much bankrupt Russia and is thought of as a liberal. So there won't be many places in the country that you see a statue like that of old Boris. That is some contrast, and I'm actually surprised that Rolex is still functioning here in Russia, not just Yekaterinburg. And then the other side you have just your typical Soviet building. On the top you've got the stars and you've got the statues of all the workers. Здравия.
Cheers!
Now this place might be my favourite in all of Yekaterinburg. Hold on. So I actually found this bar last night, and it is the first bar that I've found in all of Russia that has the Premier League on, because I presume the Premier League games are banned on Russian TV. And yesterday we came here and we watched Chelsea beat Liverpool, and they've got these really cool old Soviet TVs. Cheers. That actually might be the best bar in Russia, probably because it's the only bar in Russia that plays Premier League. But we are now getting the Yekaterinburg metro back to our hotel with cash. Oh, this is perfect. 33 rubles. That is an absolute bargain. I'm not sure how many Russian cities actually have the metro, but apparently this is the fastest metro in the entire world because it only has 9 stations, runs for about 12, 13 kilometers and takes only 19 minutes to go the whole way through the city. Definitely the cheapest metro ever been on here in Russia. 33 rubles, so about 30 cents. And I don't know why. I just didn't expect there to be metros outside of Moscow or St. Petersburg, and especially didn't expect to find one here in Yekaterinburg. It is officially our last full day in Russia, if they let us leave and fly out this evening. Good morning. And that over there is Yekaterinburg train station, and this is where we've been staying for the last 2-3 nights. I can't even remember. Russia is very cheap to live in, to travel in, but accommodation is not very affordable. This old dilapidated Soviet hotel where we are staying in a bunk bed cost us 40 English pounds a night. But before we leave the country, there is one place that we need to visit just outside of the city. Our flight is not until 10 o'clock this evening, so we have to wait around all day. But just have a look at the wonders of the old Marine Park Soviet hotel. We have a beautiful carpet, lovely wooden doors, and the sketchiest lift I've ever been on in my life. We even have our very own massage chair in the corner, but we need to check out and then ask the hotel if they will book us a taxi. Здравствуйте.
Hello. Yeah.
Спасибо.
Thank you so much.
And we have made it to the official border of Europe and Asia. This is the reason we took a taxi 20 kilometers outside of the city to the middle of nowhere. On one side sits European Russia, the other Asia. It is a pretty poignant location to end our adventures across this mammoth country. It's crazy to think that 80% of the population live in the European side, which only makes up 25% of the land mass. So my foot right now is in Europe and the other in Asia. Insane.
It's kind of crazy to think that right now we are literally in Europe.
You've got
Asia.
one boob in Europe, one boob in Asia.
I actually do, but our taxi guy is waiting. And right now we have a huge group of Russian tourists that I don't think they know how to wait. So we've been waiting, queuing to get our photo, and they just, as you can see,
barge in.
get theirs.
I do think the Russian people are massively misunderstood, but one thing I won't miss is their manners or lack of manners and barging you and pushing in. But that was a cool spot, wasn't it? It just shows how big this country is and the fact that it is more Asian than European, but that small 25% of land that makes up European Russia is the largest nation in Europe by population and land. It's just such a big country, but we now really need to jump back into the taxi, head back to our hotel and go to the airport. And once we leave, if they let us leave, we'll sum up our time. We'll give you our thoughts on Russia in 2025.
So make sure you use the link in the description to use this very special discount that CyberGhost VPN is given to our channel users. This application will protect your data whilst you browse and give you full access to all blocked content on the internet for $2.03 a month only.